Doom v Vamus v Vamus Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast One-Shot Edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'll be joined by Stojr in just a minute. We are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X Men number 149, and the dead shall bury the living. Try not to think of the technicalities of how that works, but okay. Alright, so Professor Xavier has been conveniently studying Magneto and decides to send the team back down to his old Antarctic volcano base to investigate. And I don't recall why. What are they investigating? What are they going to find there? Anyway, they're doing that. It's a good excuse to get them out of the house. Along the way, Kitty Pryde is a stowaway on the Blackbird, and she is sporting a ridiculous new costume which she designed herself. While at the base, the X-Men are attacked by Garrock, the petrified man, who seemingly did not die in their previous encounter, but the X-Men are able to defeat him soundly. We end the issue checking back in on Cyclops and Lee Forrester, who have been saved by Magneto, and we learn that Magneto has been able to identify his former foe. He tells Cyclops to basically drop the pretense he knows who he is. Okay, so for my thoughts here, I did have some criticism in the previous volume that Kitty Pryde wasn't really being written like a 13-year-old. This issue changes that, all right? Her immaturity with the new costume and wanting to show it off, that's definitely a bit more realistic. We get our first indication that Kitty's phasing power disrupts computers this time. I believe that happens on page 122. Let's see if I can pull that up on the comic viewer here. Give me just a second. Page 122. No, I don't think that's it. I've got a problem. Oh, there we go. All right. It was page 122. The comic viewer is sometimes off a little bit when there are double page spreads and so forth. The numbering gets off. All right. But you can see here on the right hand page, the second panel, she phases through the computer banks. You see the static behind her head in the third panel. And then, of course, in the fourth panel, Xavier's like visibly upset and angry because what she has done has hurt all of his work, right? You also get a good view of that ridiculous costume. All the different colors there is jarring, right? Yellow, red, blue, green, the striped socks. I'm wondering, this has got to be pre-Punky Brewster, right? If not, I would think that this is maybe heavily influenced by Punky Brewster, or maybe it's the other way around. Again, the thought just occurred to me, and I don't remember when Punky Brewster came out. For you young ones, go ahead and look her up. It's a treat. As I kind of mentioned in the rundown, I'm not entirely sure what the point of having the X-Men going to Magneto's volcanic base was. Why bother? What are they going to learn? But at the same time, seeing Garrock change to be a half-crystalline, half-melted man, that was cool. That was a really neat visual that I enjoyed. Sorry, I'm going back to the comic viewer to see if I can find a good look at Garrock real quick. Oh, yeah, here we go. Unfortunately, I'm not sure which... Oops, wrong thing there. Not sure which page this is. Yeah, it's not going to tell me. But you can see in that first panel there, he's looming over Kitty Pryde, who's looking up at him. You can see the defeated Colossus is at the ground there behind him. His right side is crystalline. His left side is all gooey and melted and so forth. That's just a really neat visual for a villain. All right. Oh, I did again. Click the wrong button. Messing up the video here. You're getting to see the background of how things work for my viewers here. Oh, and by the way, that cover, I neglected to mention that in my notes. What a gorgeous cover. I mean, the blues just kind of framing the whole thing. Garrock's eye just blazing out, and then you get the colored X-Men in the front. It's a cool tone. It's dark, it's mysterious, but lots of little details, and then again the flecks of light. That's just really neat. Well done there. I'm assuming Cochran is the cover artist for that one. I can't really see the credits. Yeah, Cochran and Rubenstein, it looks like. All right, so those are my thoughts on this issue. We're going to pass this off to Stojr, and then I'll be back afterwards to wrap things up.
Uncanny X Men 149, and the dead shall bury the living. So we get to revisit some of the Savage Land adjacent area of that volcano base for Magneto as the X-Men are searching for him. There's a lot of little things in this issue that I find interesting. Overall, it's just kind of I kind of wish that Cockrum had drawn the villain a little bit closer to the way that he was earlier in the run. Obviously, he'd be damaged from the ordeal that he went through and changed. But if you didn't have the dialogue that tells you where this villain is coming from, and obviously the context of what's here, he doesn't kind of look anything like he did before, in my opinion. So I wish that there was a little bit more of a connective tissue there. I do really like the cover of this issue, though. I think the cover looks really good, and I think that comes down to a lot of the coloring and the inking on that cover. Cockrum does a good job with it, too. We get the reveal of Kitty's ridiculous costume in here. This will be made fun of for many, many years to come, and I think we'll have a short-lived lifespan throughout the comic. Also, some Magneto recap pages by Professor X in the beginning, which never fails to remind us that Magneto was turned into a baby. We're never going to forget that moment. I also like that Colossus and Wolverine are playing sort of gin or gin rummy on the plane, playing some cards there. I remember playing rummy as a kid with my parents, when I was very little on the weekends. So, that brought back some flashbacks. I actually don't remember how to play. I just remember the act of playing. Some good action scenes here with the X-Men in this old base and trying to, battle this villain who now is sort of impervious to lava and has some, additional powers, or at least some amped up powers along the way. So, it's kind of a forgettable issue. It just is the X-Men searching for Magneto. We're left with the last page of Cyclops and Lee dressed in ridiculous outfits. Again, I don't know that this goes anywhere. They have these outfits that look like they came out of Atlantis or some sort of alien location that's sort of based in, it looks like Aquaman, Aquaman, regal, under the sea type things. But again, there's no explanation for this other than they're just in this weird city. I find it very odd. But left with the last page that, Cyclops can take off his visor because there's some sort of mutant, dampening or power sucking field that doesn't affect Magneto, but does affect Cyclops. I find this is an interesting thing for Cyclops to have, right? If this was Storm, losing her powers, losing her connection to the weather, that would be, extremely negative. But with Cyclops, this gives him an opportunity, and it's almost a tempting opportunity to be able to see, to not have to walk around with that visor. You're almost looking at this from the perspective of, is he going to join Magneto going forward? Or is this just a trap that Magneto has and a way to keep him there as a prisoner? At the end of this issue, specifically, it could go either way. So somewhat of a forgettable issue, some interesting things that happen throughout it. It's probably most memorable for the reveal of Kitty Pryde's ridiculous costume. Otherwise, looking forward to getting to the Avengers annual and really back into the Magneto storyline that'll be coming in issue 150, which is double-sized.
All right, thank you, Stojr, and thank you, the audience, for watching and listening. We'll be back again tomorrow with another one-shot, and you can check us out on YouTube, where we post the episode schedules and currently have a poll for you to choose which Epic Collection we will read and review in March. Check that out, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you like what we're doing. I put Stojr and my link trees in the description if you ever want to find us on the internet. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time for another episode that will be just as epic.